What if I told you that being kind to everyone is exactly why you're unhappy, overwhelmed, and unappreciated? You've been taught all your life that kindness is a virtue, and it is. But what no one ever told you is that unchecked kindness is a trap. The more you give without boundaries, the more people take without guilt. You wake up one day and realize you're exhausted. You're taken for granted. And worst of all, you don't even recognize yourself anymore. That's the reason you need to hear this entire message. Because if you don't draw the line now, someone else will draw it for you. And when they do, you'll be on the outside of your own life looking in. Let's get something straight. Kindness is not weakness. But being kind to everyone at all times, without boundaries, that is weakness in disguise. People see it, they feel it, and many exploit it. You become the one always giving rides, always picking up the slack, always saying yes, when your heart is screaming no. You can't pour from an empty cup. Self-care isn't selfish, it's survival. You being drained, resentful, and used up is no favor to the world. Your kindness must be directed and earned, not sprayed blindly at everyone you meet. People show you who they are. If they mark your boundaries, manipulate your emotions, or only show up when they need something, they don't deserve your kindness. They deserve silence. Because the kindest thing you can do for some people is let them go. When your kindness isn't backed by strength, people don't see it as noble, they see it as naive. You have to earn your own respect first. Then, and only then, can your kindness be true, because it comes from choice, not obligation. The strongest people are not those who are always kind. The strongest people are those who know when to be kind, why they're being kind, and to whom their kindness is worth giving. This kind of kindness, it changes lives, starting with your own. Kindness is a beautiful trait. It's a sign of compassion, empathy, and connection. But like any powerful force, when misdirected or left unchecked, it can turn into something dangerous, not just for others, but for you. We're told from a young age to be kind, to be polite, to help others. But very few people teach us where kindness should stop. And even fewer teach us that sometimes being kind without limits doesn't make you good, it makes you vulnerable. Imagine this. You say yes when you're exhausted. You give when your cup is already empty. You support others even when you're drowning yourself. And the truth is, most people won't stop you. They'll take what you offer. They might smile while doing it. They might even thank you. But they won't ask whether you are okay. They won't pause to consider if you have anything left to give. Because as long as you keep showing up, people will assume you're fine. This is where kindness begins to cross a dangerous line. When your behavior sends the message that you're always available, always agreeable, always accommodating, you stop being seen as a person with needs and start being seen as a resource, a tool, a convenience. And once you fall into that role, it becomes very hard to get out. The worst part is, most people don't even realize they're doing it. They don't wake up thinking, I'm going to take advantage of someone today. It's just human nature. When someone gives without limits, others naturally adjust to that. They become comfortable with that dynamic, and eventually they stop questioning it. This is how patterns of emotional exploitation are born. Not always out of malice, but out of habit. But let's be honest, some people do exploit others consciously. They recognize kindness as weakness. They sense your inability to say no, and they weaponize it. They know exactly which words to say, which guilt trips to apply, which buttons to press, and if you don't set limits, they'll drain you dry without blinking. Here's the truth no one tells you. Kindness without boundaries is not noble. It's self-neglect. It's an open door to manipulation. You can have the best intentions in the world, but if you constantly put others ahead of yourself, you are not being kind. You're being irresponsible with your own well-being, and that has consequences. You start to feel resentment, but you don't say anything because you want to keep the peace. You start to feel exhausted, but you push through because it's the right thing to do. You start to lose your sense of identity, your time, your energy, and all the while you praise for being such a good person. It's a silent suffering, and no one sees it unless you speak up. But if you've trained people to expect your constant kindness, speaking up suddenly feels like betrayal, like you're letting them down. but in reality, the only person you've been betraying is yourself. The truth is, healthy kindness must have boundaries. Not everyone deserves access to you. Not every situation requires your help, and not every problem is yours to solve. Saying no doesn't make you cruel. It makes you conscious. It means you understand your own limits. It means you respect your own time and energy enough to preserve it for what really matters. For people who value you, not just what you offer. You don't have to stop being kind, but you do have to stop being endlessly available. You do have to stop being the one who always compromises, always adjusts, always gives in. Because when you do that too often, you teach people that your needs don't matter, that you'll bend until you break and still apologize for not breaking sooner. People will test your boundaries, they'll question your shift, they'll call you changed, maybe even cold. But the people who truly care about you will understand, and the ones who don't, they were never valuing you in the first place. Only your kindness. Let that be your filter. There is a difference between being kind and being used, a difference between being helpful and being drained. When you understand that difference, and when you live by it, your kindness becomes real strength, not a weakness to be exploited. So protect it, respect it, because no one else will do it for you. We often grow up hearing phrases like treat everyone with kindness, be the bigger person, or kill them with kindness. These ideas sound noble, they seem like the morally right thing to do, but somewhere along the way this belief becomes twisted. It turns into an expectation that no matter how people treat you, whether with disrespect, manipulation, or selfishness, you're supposed to respond with patience, grace, and a smile. The reality is, this mindset is not just unrealistic, it's dangerous. Not everyone deserves your kindness. And that isn't bitterness, it's wisdom. It means recognizing that some people see kindness not as something to be respected, but as something to be taken advantage of. These people don't see your goodness as strength, they see it as a weakness they can exploit. The more you give, the more they take. The more you forgive, the more they test. And the more you tolerate, the more they push. There's a difference between being a kind person and being someone who lets others walk all over them. When you offer your kindness to people who have no intention of respecting you, you're wasting your emotional energy. You're investing in someone who will never return that investment. It's like pouring water into a broken cup. No matter how much you give, it will never be enough. Because they are not capable of seeing your kindness as a gift. They see it as something owed. You don't owe everyone kindness. You owe people decency, yes. Basic respect, yes. But kindness, that is earned. That is built through mutual trust, care, and reciprocity. You cannot go around throwing kindness at everyone like it's unlimited, because it's not. Your energy, your time, your patience, these are finite resources. When you give them freely to those who don't value them, you steal from the people who do. One of the hardest lessons to learn is that some people thrive on your guilt. They thrive on your discomfort. They sense your unwillingness to be mean or selfish, and they use it. They push your boundaries, then act hurt when you push back. They mistake your empathy for obedience. And the more you let it slide in the name of kindness, the more you reinforce their behavior. You teach them silently that they can treat you however they want and you'll still be there, smiling, accommodating, and agreeable. Real kindness isn't about tolerating bad behavior. It's about choosing where your love, attention, and compassion go. It's about protecting your peace and knowing when to walk away. Not everyone gets a front row seat to your life. Not everyone should have the privilege of your emotional labor. Some people are not ready, willing, or capable of treating your kindness with care. And that's not your problem to fix. It's not your responsibility to love people into changing, especially when that love comes at your own expense. There's also a deep fear many kind people carry, the fear of becoming like them. The fear that setting boundaries, saying no, or walking away will make them cold, heartless, or selfish. But that fear is based on a false premise. Being selective with your kindness does not make you unkind, it makes you smart. It means you understand the difference between giving and being used, between forgiving and enabling, between helping and hurting yourself. Letting go of the need to be kind to everyone is a form of liberation. It frees you from the toxic cycle of people-pleasing. It frees you from the emotional burden of trying to earn love or approval. And most importantly, it allows you to redirect your kindness where it truly belongs, toward people who appreciate it, reciprocate it, and never make you feel guilty for offering it. When you stop offering your kindness indiscriminately, you begin to protect your soul. You begin to create a life filled with mutual respect and healthy relationships. You create room for people who want to understand you, not just use you. And most importantly, you begin to show yourself the kindness you've so easily given to others. Because the truth is, the person who deserves your kindness most, especially if you've spent years giving it away too freely, is you. You deserve peace. You deserve to say no without guilt. You deserve to stop saving people who wouldn't lift a finger for you. And you deserve to feel what it's like when your kindness lands in the hands of someone who actually values it. So stop giving it to everyone. Everyone isn't ready. Everyone isn't worthy. And everyone isn't you. Kindness is often seen as a pure and admirable quality, and it is. But like anything powerful, it becomes dangerous when it's not grounded in something deeper. That something is self-respect. Without it, kindness turns into a weapon you use against yourself. It becomes a slow, quiet form of self-destruction, and the world won't warn you when it's happening. In fact, the world will often applaud you for it. When you don't respect yourself, your kindness doesn't come from a place of strength. It comes from fear, the fear of being rejected, the fear of disappointing others, the fear of conflict, of being disliked, of standing alone. And so you stay agreeable. You bend, stretch, and break to accommodate everyone around you. You stay silent when you're disrespected. You apologize even when you're not at fault. You go out of your way to please people who wouldn't think twice about hurting you. You do it because you want peace, but what you don't realize is that the peace you're buying is one-sided. It's peace for them, not for you. On the inside you're restless, tired, resentful, but instead of facing that, you tell yourself you're just being nice, that you're doing the right thing, that this is what a good person would do. And little by little, you chip away at your own identity until you're not sure where your kindness ends and your self-betrayal begins. The truth is, kindness without self-respect is hollow. It's not a gift, it's a trade. You're trading your authenticity for approval, trading your values for validation, trading your energy for crumbs of recognition. And the worst part is, the people you do this for often won't see the sacrifice. They won't thank you for it. They'll just keep expecting more because you've taught them that your kindness comes with no limits. Eventually you hit a wall. Maybe someone crosses a line that's too much, even for you. Maybe you burn out. Maybe you wake up one day and realize you don't know who you are without being the nice one. And in that moment, the realization hits hard. You've been trying to be everything for everyone, and now you have nothing left for yourself. This is what happens when kindness isn't rooted in self-respect. It stops being compassion and starts being a mask that hides your needs, your truth, your pain. You smile when you're hurting, you agree when you're angry, you give when you're empty, and on the outside everyone thinks you're okay, because you never showed them the cost of your kindness. The people who truly respect themselves set boundaries. They know that saying no, saying cruel, it's honest. They know that not every situation requires their emotional labor. They know that being kind to others should never come at the cost of being kind to themselves. And because of that, their kindness has more power, more weight, more authenticity. It's not forced. It's not manipulative. It doesn't seek approval. It simply is strong, balanced, and real. When you learn to respect yourself, your kindness changes. You stop giving it to people who drain you. You stop tolerating disrespect just to keep the peace. You stop betraying your own needs in the name of being polite. And most importantly, you begin to feel whole again. You begin to feel proud of the love you give because it's no longer a cry for acceptance. It's a reflection of your values. Self-respect means recognizing that your time, your energy, your emotional space, they matter. They are not infinite. They deserve to be protected, not just handed out to anyone who demands them. And kindness, real kindness, can only come from a person who has protected those things first, who gives not because they're afraid to say no, but because they want to say yes, from a place of fullness, not depletion. So if you find yourself constantly being kind at the cost of your own peace, pause and ask yourself, is this kindness or is it self-abandonment? Am I giving because I want to, or because I'm afraid of what will happen if I don't? That moment of honesty might be uncomfortable, but it's necessary, because until you respect yourself, your kindness will always come with a hidden price. And the one paying it will always be you. Kindness is powerful, but without self-respect, it becomes permission for others to treat you however they like. Let your kindness be a reflection of your strength, not a sign of your surrender. Every interaction you have with someone sends a message. It tells them something about what you'll accept, what you'll tolerate, what you value, and what you're willing to ignore. The truth that many people struggle to accept is this: you teach people how to treat you, not through your words alone, but through your actions, and more often, your silence. Every time you allow someone to cross a line without consequences, you teach them that the line doesn't really exist. Every time you let disrespect slide for the sake of keeping the peace, you send the message that your peace is worth less than theirs, and over time people adjust to that standard. This isn't always intentional. In fact, it usually starts subtly. You do a favor you didn't want to do just to be nice. You say yes when you're already overwhelmed because you don't want to disappoint someone. You laugh off a comment that bothered you because you don't want to seem sensitive. At first, it doesn't feel like a big deal, but soon those small compromises stack up. People start asking more of you. They stop asking how you feel. They assume you'll always say yes, always adjust, always make it work, no matter what it costs you. And the dangerous part is you can start believing it too. You start to think that if someone treats you poorly, maybe it's because you didn't do enough. That if they take advantage of you, maybe it's because you weren't clear enough. That if they don't respect you, maybe you haven't earned it yet. But that mindset keeps you trapped in a cycle of overgiving, over-explaining, and overcompensating, hoping that one day they'll finally see your worth. But the truth is, respect isn't something you wait to be given, it's something you require. And the way you require it is by showing others that there are limits to your kindness, that your time is valuable, that your voice matters, that you're not afraid to walk away from people who continually ignore your needs. When you do this, you stop hoping people will treat you better, and you start ensuring that they do. People respond to the standards you set. If your standard is, I'll always be available, then people won't hesitate to interrupt your peace. If your standard is, I never say no, then others won't think twice before piling their problems on you. But if your standard is, I respect myself enough to say no when I need to, then people either rise to meet that standard, or they disappear. And either outcome is a win for you. It takes courage to change the way people treat you, especially when you've trained them to expect your constant agreement. You might be afraid of the backlash. You might worry that people will say you've changed, and they will, because you have. You've stopped being convenient. You've stopped being the person who erases themselves to make others comfortable. And that kind of change threatens those who benefited from the old version of you. But that's not your burden to carry. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to you. You don't have to justify your boundaries. You don't have to feel guilty for expecting the same respect you so freely give. You are allowed to protect your energy. You are allowed to correct people when they overstep. You are allowed to walk away from relationships that require you to shrink in order to survive. The sooner you accept this, the stronger you become. Because teaching people how to treat you isn't about being loud or aggressive. It's about consistency. It's about what you allow, what you reinforce, and what you walk away from. When you stop rewarding disrespect with silence, when you stop tolerating mistreatment in the name of kindness, when you stop pretending you're okay with things that make you feel small, people notice. And the ones who truly care will adjust. The ones who don't were never really for you. You don't need to beg for better treatment. You don't need to convince people to value you. You simply need to live in a way that shows what you will and will not accept. That's how you build a life rooted in self-worth. That's how you attract people who treat you with the care you deserve. And that's how you break free from the cycle of quiet resentment that comes from always putting others first. So remember this: every day, in every relationship, you are teaching people how to treat you. Make sure the lesson honors who you truly are. There's a false idea floating around that in order to be a good person, you have to be kind to everyone, that you must always smile, always forgive, always accommodate, that any sign of assertiveness, boundary setting, or withdrawal makes you cold or harsh. But that's a lie. The truth is, being kind to everyone is not a sign of greatness. It's often a sign of fear, of guilt, of wanting to be liked at all costs. Real strength lies in choosing where your kindness goes. Selective kindness is not cruelty, it's clarity. You cannot and should not be kind to everyone, because not everyone comes to you with pure intentions. Some people come to drain, to use, to manipulate. They see kindness as currency, and if you keep handing it out freely, they'll keep taking it without any respect. The more you try to stay kind no matter what, the more invisible you become to yourself. You end up giving parts of yourself away to people who have no desire to understand you, let alone respect you. You smile through the insult, help after being ignored, and keep giving chances to those who never even said thank you. That is not kindness. That is self-neglect wrapped in a ribbon of politeness. There's a difference between being kind and being naive. The world isn't made of angels. Not everyone deserves your warmth. Just as you wouldn't leave your front door wide open to anyone walking down the street, you shouldn't leave your emotional doors unlocked for anyone who shows up with a need. Being selective with your kindness doesn't mean you're mean, it means you've learned. It means you've watched how people treated your silence, your patience, your forgiveness, and you've decided you won't hand those things out so carelessly anymore. Selective kindness means you've stopped offering love as proof of your worth. You've stopped giving your time as an apology for taking up space. You've stopped believing that being liked is more important than being respected. You start valuing your energy. You stop explaining your boundaries. You begin to see that not every door deserves to be opened, and not everyone is meant to be welcomed inside your life. When you become more selective, people will notice, some will misunderstand, they'll say you've changed, that you've grown distant, that you've become harsh, but what they're really saying is this: you've stopped being easy to use. You've stopped being constantly available. You've stopped performing kindness as a way to keep people comfortable. And the people who thrived on your endless generosity will be the ones who resent your clarity the most. Let them. Your job is not to convince others of your goodness. Your job is to live in alignment with your values, your peace, and your truth. Selective kindness means giving from a place of fullness, not obligation. It means choosing relationships where kindness flows both ways. It means offering your care not because you're afraid of rejection, but because the person in front of you has earned it. It's not cruelty to deny someone your time when all they do is waste it. It's not unkind to say no when someone expects you to carry their burdens without ever asking how you're doing. It's not cold to pull away from people who only show up when they need something. What's cruel is forcing yourself to serve others while you starve emotionally. What's cruel is giving endlessly and watching yourself disappear in the process. What's cruel is pretending everything is fine while your soul quietly breaks under the weight of one-sided kindness. Selective kindness is not about revenge or ego, it's about truth. It's about knowing that your energy is sacred, that your time is valuable, that your heart isn't a public utility. It's about realizing that real kindness starts with self-awareness, and if you aren't kind to yourself, you're not being truly kind at all. Some of the strongest people you'll ever meet are not the loudest or the toughest. They're the ones who used to give too much and then learned. They're the ones who loved without limits and then saw the cost. They're the ones who now smile less but mean it more. They don't offer kindness out of fear anymore. They offer it as a choice, a deliberate, thoughtful gift, not a reaction. You don't need to be kind to everyone. You need to be clear about who you are, what you stand for, and what you will no longer tolerate. From that clarity, a more powerful, genuine kindness emerges, one that doesn't burn you out, one that doesn't demand your silence, and one that honors the person you've fought to become. That is not cruelty, that is clarity, and it's one of the kindest things you'll ever do for yourself. You were not born to carry the emotional weight of people who refuse to carry their own. You were not made to constantly absorb pain, fix problems, or heal wounds that others refuse to acknowledge. Somewhere along the way, you were taught that being soft, forgiving, gentle, endlessly understanding was a sign of goodness. That the softer you were, the better person you became. That if you just gave enough chances, smiled through the discomfort, and always assumed the best in people, everything would work out. But life doesn't reward you for being soft with those who only know how to harden you. Not everyone deserves your softness. Not everyone is entitled to your warmth, your patience, or your healing energy. Because softness, while beautiful, is also fragile. When it is given carelessly or to the wrong people, it gets trampled on. And the tragedy is not just that they abuse it, it's that you let them. You convince yourself that being kind is more important than being safe, that being understanding is more important than being respected. And so, over time, you lose parts of yourself in the name of being the bigger person. Some people see your softness and mistake it for weakness. They test your limits, ignore your needs, and rely on the fact that you're too gentle to walk away. They turn your compassion into convenience, and once it stops serving them, they disappear. And still, you blame yourself. Maybe I was too sensitive. Maybe I should have done more. Maybe if I had loved them harder, they would have stayed. But your softness was never the problem. Who you gave it to was. When you give your softness to people who haven't earned it, you betray yourself. You become emotionally bankrupt, trying to fund the growth of others who don't even water your roots. You find yourself stuck in one-sided dynamics, where you're always giving and they're always taking. And worst of all, you stay, because you believe that leaving would make you unkind, cold, or selfish. But it wouldn't. It would make you wise. Because part of maturity is realizing that your energy is not free. Your presence is not a right, it's a privilege. You have every right to protect your softness, to decide who gets access to your heart, your time, and your trust. Just as you wouldn't place a rare flower in the hands of someone who crushes everything they touch, you shouldn't hand over your softness to people who have proven they don't value it. And that doesn't make you cruel, it makes you aware. It means you've stopped leading with guilt and started leading with self-respect. The softness in you is not for everyone. It's for the ones who show up with honesty, with care, with accountability. The ones who don't just take from you but pour into you. The ones who don't use your empathy as a way to avoid growth, but appreciate it while doing the hard work themselves. Your softness should be a safe space, not a dumping ground. It should be sacred, not scattered. It should be earned, not expected. Let go of the pressure to heal everyone. Let go of the belief that your role in life is to constantly fix what others keep breaking. You're not unkind for choosing peace over chaos. You're not heartless for stepping back from those who constantly drain you. You are simply reclaiming the parts of yourself that got lost while trying to be good all the time. And that is one of the most loving things you can do. For yourself and for the right people who are still to come. Not everyone deserves your softness, and that's okay. You can be a good person and still say no. You can have a kind heart and still draw sharp lines. You can care deeply and still walk away when that care is being taken for granted. That's not being bitter. That's being clear. That's knowing that your softness is powerful and that real power doesn't beg to be seen. It simply knows its worth and acts accordingly. The world will try to convince you that being soft means being endlessly available, but don't fall for that. You are not a service. You are not a savior. You are a human being with limits, needs, and value. So protect your softness. Reserve it for those who see it as the gift that it is. Not everyone will. And that's the point. Because once you start giving it only to those who truly honor it, you'll stop bleeding for people who are never going to offer a bandage in return. And in that space you'll finally find peace, not just with others, but with yourself. So stop being kind to everyone. Start being kind to yourself. Then be kind intentionally. Because the world doesn't need more people who say yes to everything. It needs more people who say yes to the right things and have the courage to say no to the rest.